God bless you tuning in. Christians are winning around the world. And it is Thursday, the 19th, 2026, and you have 10 days left tuning in before worldwide destruction, worldwide dollar collapse, worldwide coming to light revelations, as we're seeing with the Epstein cases. Prince Andrew arrested earlier this morning, and a dramatic shift in consciousness. And again, you are winning. Christians, God first, faith first individuals tuning in, you are winning. So ladies and gentlemen, please like and share this video. We are going to go through the bombshells, of course, the trafficking with Prince Andrew and the gross allegations that have resulted in his massive demonic arrest earlier today. Absolute shock on the face of Prince Andrew. And again, this all just went down, facing life in prison as the Epstein fallout intensifies. Accused of misconduct in public office and arrested on his very demonic birthday, pay close attention to this, of 666. He is 66 years old. Also, we see these spiritual times. I talked about it, or signs. We talked about it yesterday on my late night golden hour broadcast. Saw the same thing with Bitcoin yesterday, and I've seen it with Bitcoin this entire time over the last several decades. For those of you that don't know, Bitcoin traded at 66,666 yesterday, signaling we are close to the bottom. It did the same thing at 6,666, and it did the same thing on 16,666.66, which is when I threw chairs in the pool last during the worldwide shutdowns and lockdowns. Now, this is massive news, but the elites also have a plan. So we need to understand what their plan of attack is, how Donald Trump is structuring this reset, where it's all headed, and also we need to detail the geopolitical World War III moves that are taking place now. For those of you that don't know, Donald Trump publicly stated a couple things within the last few hours. One, Barack Obama had released classified information about aliens. And two, Iran has approximately 10 days to find out. F around and find out. FAFO. 10-day countdown. So understand that what happens next will be mind-blowing. That the dollar collapse in the United States and the massive amount of debt and the capital controls and bank runs will shock the masses. This will be far worse than 2020, far worse than 2008 and 2009. But understand, this has to happen in order for the rebirth into the golden age epic. Again, Elon Musk saying things like every human being on planet Earth is going to be rich because of the robots. Donald Trump promises the golden age and the golden dome. His sons say they fully expect Bitcoin to reach $1 million plus. In fact, Eric has just accumulated 6,000 Bitcoins. He's gotten his hands all over Bitcoin right now, as well as a very big event at Mar-a-Lago, actually taking place today, I think, out in Florida. So this is a massive transition. Now, let's kind of use our minds here and critically think this through together. Again, God is the judge. Jesus Christ is in control, and we trust his plan. We have to understand the world isn't going to give Prince Andrew his judgment. What is likely to happen is this is all a show trial. It is catharsis because the elites know the general public are aware of what they have been doing, these demons. That has been revealed, and so they need some kind of catharsis. They need a show trial, and they need a scapegoat. So, of course, the king knew, probably, in my opinion, ordered the arrest of Prince Andrew, but it's all theater. So understand, he will get out on bail. He probably will not go to jail. There's not going to be any repercussions on this earth. Again, the demons are still in power, so understand that, at least here, worldly. But Jesus Christ is in control. Again, Christians are winning. Prince Andrew will have his judgment here, but not in this world. Okay, we saw how the Pharisees whipped Jesus and then executed him on a cross and beat him prolifically. Same thing would be done today in this world if Jesus was walking among us. The exact same thing. And so understand this is a psyop. This is to divert your attention from the attack on Iran. And the more they can throw the scapegoat of Epstein and other very real demonic events, the more you'll be focused on the carrot like a lemming, and your attention will be diverted from the complete collapse and restructuring of the Middle East. And that's all that's happening. An economic Berlin Wall is falling. Iran will be remastered in the image of Israel and as the United States see fit. Whether or not you agree with that or not is a whole nother issue, but that is what's going to happen. They are going to rebuild on the ashes of Gaza, and they will build master plan Dubai-esque city-state structures, of which will be a panopticon police state surveillance state run by Jared Kushner, and of course the fire horse, as Ivanka Trump posted yesterday, it is the year of the fire horse. Yeah, reminds me of the book of Revelation. Good luck with that. So understand this is a psyop. Now, Donald Trump has given a 10-day ultimatum on Iran. Now, let's go over those details. Far more likely we have strikes. You don't send all of your warships, all of your military naval capacity, all your SEAL teams, all your special ops, all your drones, all your surveillance, all your nukes, all your submarines, the USS Gerald Ford, the USS Abraham Lincoln, unless you plan on pressing the red button. I also think purely from an ego perspective, they're going to press the red button. I mean, could you imagine having all those cojones in the Middle East and then just turn the ships around? I think from pure madman egoism, click, click, click. Now, maybe it needs to be done, but also understand this will provide a massive scapegoat for the elites to blame the U.S. dollar collapse, the death of the dollar, capital controls, bank runs, the evisceration of your wealth, and the largest transfer of wealth in world history on the war. They always have a boogeyman. They are never to blame. Whoopsie. Shucks. If it weren't for that war, we wouldn't be living in an economic collapse. If it wasn't for the bat poo, shucks, we wouldn't have needed all those bailouts. Too bad, no one could have predicted it. Oh, they predicted it. They actually rolled it out and planned it. And we all know that. So it'll provide a massive cover-up for their pre-planned, engineered, financial, economic transfer of wealth into the new Bitcoin crypto stablecoin system that they've engineered. Now, let's speak specifically to financial and capital markets. Of course, I've told you to sell your silver at the all-time highs of about $120 an ounce. That was a 10x for myself and many of our investors. I've been selling and recommending and buying silver since it was $10. Okay, we have since seen a 40% collapse in the price of silver, and I believe we just had its last dead cat bounce. And because it's only acting as a hedge for Iran, as soon as there is resolution, either the red button attack or a sudden peace deal announcement, gold and silver will subsequently collapse and then risk on. And again, I also predicted over a year ago that the plan of the elites was to pump their central bank gold and silver reserves artificially because they manipulate and rig the entire financial system and marketplace. And once they were done pumping their unaudited central bank Fort Knox Federal Reserves, they would then transfer that new money they created from thin air, unaudited, just like the Pentagon is unaudited, and then they would use all of that newfound wealth, the nouveau rich, and they would start gobbling up the cheap Bitcoin and cryptos they were artificially suppressing and rigging with naked derivative shorts and other exotic instruments, which were the same thing they were doing with gold and silver all those years. It's not like the elites just suddenly allowed silver and gold to hit new all-time highs. They're the ones behind it. You understand that, right? It's not retail money pushing silver up. It's not retail money pushing gold up because you're smarter than Goldman Sachs. No, it was JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, the rig job crew, BlackRock, etc. They were pumping it for the central banks. All of it's rigged. Your whole financial system is rigged. All of it is. And they're obviously dirty demons, as we're seeing with Epstein and all the politicians and all of these demons on both sides of the aisle on the list, from Hollywood to entertainers to congressmen to presidents to powerful business leaders to Fortune 100 to royalty, etc. So we know all those things are absolute facts. And, this really is creating a nightmare for the American people because they're about to lose everything. Lose everything in a pre-planned rig job inside JOB attack on the American financial system as these scum pilfer and extort every last worthless dollar from the burning, crumbling empire before they move into the dark age and unlock the golden era. Now, Donald Trump has prepared a speech to reveal aliens to the American people, little green men. But let me explain specifically how they're going to frame that. It's all a psyop, but it's all lies, and it's all BS, and none of it is true. But it's a way that the CIA and DARPA can control the messaging for a very specific reason. So let me explain it to you, as I've been warning about this for a very long time, much like Neo or John Connor in the Terminator 2 series. So the elites will reveal, as Barack Obama has, aliens are real. But they will not be little green men. They will not have bodies. It will only specifically be geared towards the craft and the UAPs that the Pentagon has already revealed and the threat in our skies. So no green men. There's not going to be a revelation of like alien bodies or anything like that. Nothing like that. It all has to do with the messaging of AI, alien invasion. I'm the one that came up with that. AI is the alien invasion, and the non-human intelligence. Now, carefully coordinated, constructed with Hollywood land and Steven Spielberg and his new movie, Disclosure Day, of course, that hooks up your brain via microchips, and Elon Musk and Gates have been building for the masses to connect them to AI and then the financial payment system grid, of which it tells us in the book of Revelation in the Bible. And so there's going to be no mention of E.T., okay, or even the book that's coming into a movie I'm reading right now called Project Hail Mary, where the alien is a spider. It's actually kind of a cool book, making it into a movie from the same author that wrote The Martian and made that a movie. So they're not going to reveal anything like material on extraterrestrial bodily interstellar beings. No, it's about a consciousness somewhere that you can't touch. An invisible virus. That was the exact definition Donald Trump gave it when he was ghost white, stark as a ghost, as he was compartmentalized and revealed by the black suits that yes, aliens are real, just like Barack Obama said. And again, that's why the whole world coordinated with the worldwide lockdowns. It had everything to do with the extraterrestrial reveal, even though it's a psyop, and all the presidents and leaders are compartmentalized by the state, cloaked on a need-to-know basis with everything. From 9/11 with George W. Bush to the lockdowns of 2020 with Trump. Again, even Barack Obama told you this, that, they're compartmentalized. They're just suits. It's kind of like you got a CEO, right? The CEO is there to kind of rally the people, but you've got the owners that own the CEO. Really, the CEO is a peasant compared to the owners. So the owners, you don't know who they are, or their faces. And so they're rolling out a very aggressive psyop, and here is what is perfect about it. As they fearmonger the American people of an alleged attack in our skies by alien but non-beings craft, UAPs and interdimensional UFOs, which they've already disclosed and admitted. It's all over CNN, the fake news, all over MSNBC. Pentagon has admitted it. Marco Rubio has admitted it. Trump has admitted it. They can bend space-time reality, according to the White House. As they push that threat forward, they're going to have a solution for you on a silver platter, but really a golden one. Because the Golden Dome must be built next to protect from the Star Wars UAP threat of the non-human alien intelligence in our skies. And again, this will keep a healthy sense of fear-mongering going on in the minds of the speculative masses that don't understand what's going on. And the more the deep state has control through soap operas, cover-ups, media engineering, Epstein scapegoats, war, and now they've got to bring the big card out of Independence Day. Okay, they don't have a lot of tricks left up their sleeve. So now they're going full-blown aliens, folks. So I want you to understand, Trump has prepared a speech for alien revelations. And I just told you exactly what it will reveal. They're not going to go to the body thing. They're not going to say they've got any evidence of, little green men, ET, or some kind of extraterrestrial interstellar beings. No, it's an intelligence. So think about this. Just think about it hypothetically. What if there was an intelligence without a body? Would that not be the most super intelligence? This plays into God, but think about it from the scientist's perspective. It's an intelligence with generalized, specialized omniscience of the singularity that doesn't have physical form. In fact, there's an advantage not having physical form. You can travel at the speed of light, who knows, maybe even faster. You can interdimensionally move out of various dimensions because you don't have a body. You understand? They're going to sell this whole AI invasion, the alien invasion, that way. That's how it's going to be sold. And you even have figures like the Blink 182, which was from my era, putting out a lot of content on this recently. I actually find it kind of interesting because he's been on the topic for a very long time. Tom DeLonge, if you know who he is, very interesting video. I may even repost this on X, another reason to follow me there at AMTV Media. So, again, what are the elite's objectives? Enslave their target populations before the reset. Steal and transfer all of your wealth and move it to themselves. Fearmonger you into submission so they can roll out the police state on the ground and in your skies. And their other goal, which we can't go into too much detail here on the tube, is a biological inside. Okay? And that was the whole reason for the worldwide lockdowns. They had to get inside. You understand that, right? And they had to squirt. You understand that? That was the whole point. World leaders like Trump were compartmentalized, which is why he turned as white as a ghost. That aliens are real. So the speech has been prepared. Laura Trump, I believe Eric's wife, has also revealed this on her podcast. I've been telling you this for years, so none of this is news. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny. I was putting on X, but maybe people don't get it. But I was saying, hey, you remember when I put out 10,000 plus videos consecutively warning of Ukraine as the World War III flashpoint that would eventually lead to the final target in World War III attack strikes on Iran? And you remember how I started doing that 2 decades ago and made 10,000 plus videos almost every single day, the entire time on Greenwave, AMTV, and now Island Project? I just kept making the same video, telling you and warning you of the final target that was Iran. And everyone said that wasn't going to happen and it was fear-mongering. And now you're in World War III with Iran. See how that works? Same thing with Bitcoin. When I first recommended Bitcoin over and over again consecutively for 10,000 plus videos, under 1,000, told you to buy as much as possible. Again, we're always way ahead of the curve, and I give you plenty of times to act, and then I repeat myself like a parrot over and 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 over again, because that's a tactic of human conditioning for good. We are the truth light workers and warriors. So understand that the mainstream media does the same thing. That's why they have their slogan: stay safe, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. Be in fear, be in fear, be in fear. Stay safe, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. Stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. The more that they program, the more control they have. Now, again, we know what the goal is: enslavement, taxes, fiat dollar collapse, panopticon prison on the ground, in your skies, and then a weaponization of the bodies, the internet of humans that the elites need to feed. Okay, so these people feed just like vampires. It's like a big spider coming in and sucking out the soul and the lifeblood of their paralyzed target, right? Spider comes in, paralyzes what it's going to consume. And this is how the deep state operates. It paralyzes with global lockdowns and fear-mongering and war and dollar collapses and hijacking and psyops and red herrings, paralyzes the American sheep. And once they are numb and can't move, that's when the real takeover transpires. That's where we are now. Now, again, I've said this for years, but just even from an ethical, moral standpoint, exit the banks. Because if you stay in the banks like JP Morgan Chase, you're actually contributing to the trafficking. JP Morgan Chase, of course, did business with Epstein for multiple decades, and I'm sure they knew, or at the very least, it was gross negligence of all the trafficking. And estimates are as high as $1 billion helped to fund Jeffrey Epstein from JP Morgan Chase and Jamie Dimon's empire. And again, you're complicit. If you do business with those companies, you're actually complicit on the trafficking, right? You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you were complicit. You're no better than them. And all you have to do is just make different choices and join other Christians that are winning and get your money out of the banks and take advantage of the opportunities ahead of you and pivot, leverage, profit, and get into real assets and get out of bank debt, create cash flows and passive income while you sleep, and build companies and build ideas, allow them to flourish, build communities and build churches. It's not very hard. Again, all of our power comes from Jesus and God, who's in control, and not these demons. None of these demons have any power. So, I believe I revealed the 10-day shock that is ahead. You also have to keep in mind, this is Donald Trump's bread and butter. Shock and awe. He likes to keep people on their toes. There's got to be an entertainment factor to it. Again, look at how Nicolas Maduro was ripped out of Venezuela and kidnapped by Donald Trump. And so was his wife. Again, expect more shock and awe. It is only February 19th, and you folks are living through the greatest reset in world history. The collapse of an empire, what Ray Dalio says, is in the 6th stage of collapse of the US dollar, reset, a move into new technologies, and now with empires fighting. But here's what I wanted to talk about. Iran will be a lot more difficult war. There has not been a military buildup like this since the days of Iraq. It will likely take troops on the ground, which they're going to send your kids to go fight and die for, just like George W. Bush. And it's going to be long, protracted engagement. It's going to be very costly, too. I mean, I would think, I don't know, probably when it's all said and done, maybe an extra 10 trillion I would tack on to the debt. So understand, it's over. I was even watching RFK Jr. on a video, on a podcast the other day. He says, oh yeah, it's over. Like everybody knows the BOMB is about to go off. China is selling all of our treasuries now because they don't want to be near the blast zone of the economic nuke. And then he even went on to say that he owns U.S. treasuries, but he doesn't know if he'll ever get paid back because, of course, the U.S. government is bankrupt and you've had very bad people in charge this whole time. Again, the central bank isn't going anywhere. If I was president, the first order of business would be ending the central bank. That'd be the first thing I would do, just like the great Ron Paul when he was running for president. So Trump's not going to do that. No, Trump's embedded with Wall Street. Goldman Sachs and BlackRock are like his best friends. Now, I love the president of the United States, but just understand what you're going to get. Okay? They've already figured it out. And they're going to pound you, and they're going to pound this stratospheric debt to oblivion. And it's going to be, there's going to be a big blast. Okay, you have to understand the new Manhattan Project is people. It is biologicals, Internet of humans, and Internet of bodies. That is the new Manhattan Project. The new Manhattan Project was rolled out in 2020 to accomplish two things. Steal your wealth. Number two, Internet of bodies. It was the only reason for it. There was no bat poo. Bat poo, I can't go into details, but you know the truth. And we know that as a fact. There were no towns burnt to the ground. There were no cities lit on fire like the great plagues of the past because, well, you know the truth. Also understand, when they say peace, they mean war. Throughout history with the League of Nations, which were built right before the outbreak of World War. Just like Donald Trump's very egotistical Board of Peace, which includes Israel, has declared peace right before World War. It's what the elites do. They get very nervous right before World War. So they feign peace. We're the peacemakers before we BOMB. Oh yeah, we really want peace. And click, and then that's all that's going on. Now again, many people would argue outside of politics that these things need to transpire and that it'll unlock the greatest golden age prosperity period of a century. And as robots take over and they police your streets, they're all just going to be kowtowing to all of you and giving you back massages and making your life great. And even the youth in this country, Gen X and Y, will finally have a girlfriend because they'll be robots that they purchase in a store with a subscription model, which never ends, from Elon Musk. So, understand, big picture, very costly. It's the ruse for the reset. It's the red herring cover-up for the next stage of events. This will allow the elites to blame the war on the collapse of old America and your bank accounts It will be no politician's fault because there were bank runs. It will be because of the World War, which you will pay for, not just with your own money, but with aggressive taxation, and more than likely could even be a U.S. draft, or at the very least sending our current soldiers overseas to another Middle Eastern scam. And that's what's going to happen. Again, the ferocious demons must colonize places like Africa and take the last remnant of the Middle East to bring in their new, you know what? It's the final nail in the demonic coffin. And General Wesley Clark told us this years ago, that after Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya with Muammar Gaddafi, Somalia, the list goes on, and they hit all those countries, the final target would be Iran. And I've been telling you for years that all the elites are going to do is create a new one. It's called blockchain. And we'll reset into that during a hyperinflationary wealth extortion, transfer and slapping of the American people. And as the American people suffer in a ditch, beat down like the movie The Elysium and policed by robots in their streets, they will become the peasants of the new era. Just like slaves built the pyramids, the American slaves will build the new age. But it's more creative. The elites are extremely smart. The biggest thing they've done is convince people they're free when they're actually not. Convince you you're not a slave when you actually are. Convince you you have rights when you actually have none. We saw that in 2020. You have no right to keep your business open, according to them. You have no right to travel because the poo is flying around. You had no right even over your sovereignty of this. They said you were a bad person if you made a decision over it because of your beliefs or your religion or your faith in Christ. So we saw it's all an illusion. It's all lies. It's all one big scam. And they will take it away in a heartbeat, just like 2008-09 with the $1 trillion bailouts. They make the rules. They are dictators. They establish the laws. They declare the wars. You will not have a vote. Your voice doesn't count. These people will not be prosecuted. They're all show trials. At the end of the day, they will rip off the American middle class, and they will reset all of the financial assets into their own pockets, and they will get away with it unless you do not comply and exit the banks and form your own private ecosystems and communities like the Island Project, islandproject.com, Deck 2 to be announced Monday, February 23rd, as we embark on the next $50 million no bank debt round of the most badass properties in the world with no bank debt. Capital gains, cash flows, and of course enjoyment. Live your investment and build your own 1776 country worldwide, which is why we built it. All glory to God. So, you have 10 days. 10 days. 10 days before the blast. 10. 10 days. 10 days. It's biblical in and of it itself. 10. Now, again, I think Donald Trump is just giving the 10-day window. He's probably going to act much sooner than that. Could be as quick as this weekend. And again, I don't put it past him. There might be a deal struck. It's far more likely they click the red button, even from a pure ego standpoint. I mean, nothing would give you more of a hard-on than clicking that red button, sitting in the war room and watching the U.S. military have their way. Think about it, even from the perspective of leadership. I mean, can you imagine Lindsey Graham? That'd be the greatest day of his life. He's been urging for an attack every single day for decades. I think the decision has already been made. I don't think the call is Trump's. I believe the same deep state suits that compartmentalized him and revealed aliens to him and other world leaders during the lockdowns have already made the demonic call from down below. They've spoken directly with Satan, and they've decided to light it up in fire. Which again, there's only one thing you can count on from a state: taxes, war, and tyranny. Taxes, war, and tyranny. And that's why governments exist: for taxes, war, and tyranny. And your compliance makes you complicit. I am your freaking general, baby. 1,000 freaking X. And I love you all. We do not comply here at Island Project Nation State. We have built the real world vision from God. We set sail as Christians win. And we build a better future of truth, light, hope, liberty, justice, and more importantly, faith. We have built the kingdom wealth of the Island Project Digital Noah's Ark here at islandproject.com. I love you all. Jesus Christ is King. And this is your 10-day warning.